Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Today is Thursday, March 24th. If I sound a little odd today, a little different, if the acoustics are off, if my tone of voice sounds a little different, if you hear some things, or if it seems a little quieter to you than normal podcast recordings, well, then you must know that I've been evicted. I could not make the studio payments to keep the Moron studio afloat. The lights were off, and I was kicked out. If that makes it, as other people say, I was told to vamos, to sayonara, to see you later, to get the hell out of here. I was kicked out. So, what must be done must be done, What do they say? Adversity builds character. Trouble builds, something good. Certainly doesn't build anything like weak, I guess. I mean, people have been facing problems their entire lives. Criminals, thievery, bad people in general, just doing stuff. Unjust stuff has been happening. This isn't unjust. I just simply couldn't make the payments, and it's sad to say that the number one podcast in America, this had to happen to them. This had to happen to the number one podcast in America. Climbing the charts on Apple Podcasts, climbing the charts on Spotify, an absolute killer of a YouTube page, and couldn't pay the simple bill to keep the lights on, or the gas on, or the heat. Now I'm just in a small box that I found scurrying around the neighborhood, saying, "You got a room that I can use? You got anything? A cellar, a pantry, a closet, something I could use?" Luckily, I found salvaged a spot, only charging me $20 an hour. It's not too bad. Hopefully, by next week, we have a better spot to record the podcast. Not sure if that'll happen, but, fingers crossed. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers. It's tough out there to keep, the world's most popular and world's most listened to podcast afloat. Definitely it's not cheap either. It's going to cost me a pretty penny. It's going to cost me some dimes and nickels. Some dollar bills, if you will. So, we move on, though. We move on. We decide, we persevere. That's what this whole podcast is all about, persevering. I don't even know if I'm using that word correctly. But it sounds like I am. It sounds right. It sounds correct. Like when I say I'm going to go get Chipotle, that sounds correct to me. I can no longer say Chipotle. Like, that was tough to say right now. I now say Chipotle. I switched the L and the T. I don't know why I do that. It sounds funnier. It sounds better. It sounds more on brand, I would assume. It just sounds better to me. Chipotle, I don't know. Just not really feeling it. It's the same with, like, accurate. I just say accurate. I can no longer say accurate. It gets mumbled up, gibberished around. Not something I'm comfortable saying anymore. But I don't have the strongest vocabulary. I don't have to write any more essays. I could, we can pretty much get around with just speaking to each other. Like in the real world. Now, if you want a career in writing essays and research papers and articles, and yeah, I mean, like, you're gonna want some, I guess, advanced vocabulary that people will be like, I should look up that word because I don't know what this guy's talking about or this lady's talking about. You know, like, why did it become such a bad thing to use the word big? Why is big no longer a good enough word to use to explain or describe something that is, in fact, big? Now you got to use huge, gigantic, enormous, gargantuan, humongous, colossal. Words like that. And then you're just like, what big was... First of all, it's not as many letters. You know, it's probably the, you know, small but mighty in terms of letter usage. Doesn't take that much to... And it doesn't need all these letters like these other power hungry words that, you know, demand all the letters to slave away and be... We need all these letters to spell out a word that means big. But we already have big. It's like, who decided that was okay? Especially for young kids to learn that. Like when you're in, like, you know, elementary school and you're trying to write an essay or write a paper and they all of a sudden gatekeep your vocabulary. Like you can no longer use big or small. It's like, what? I want to see in the Declaration of Independence or in the Constitution where I cannot use the word big. And I don't want to see any syllabus either, teacher. No, I want to see this. If I can't use this in the United States, fair. But if you're just saying that because of this class or for the bullshit requirements of the class to use bigger words like synonyms and antonyms and antigens and whatever you call them, I call them words that mean the same thing but are a different word. That's what I call them. I don't need to know thesaurus. I just need a good old dictionary. And, you know, some people say, like, you know, it'll make it so you seem smarter, that you know more. But I could use so many different big words, and in my heart and soul, know that I am not any more smarter than the person I'm talking to. Or I can't pretend that I'm smarter. It's just, you know, it's part of my, you know, my character. I just can't go around being a phony like that. So I feel like those letters, not letters, those words, whoever made those up and decided to be like, you know what? Let's make words that are bigger. You know, they take more to pronounce. You got to know a lot more of them too. And you got to be able to spell them, especially like if you're in like an art or a academic like English or literature. You got to know how to spell it as well. And spelling, you know, to be honest with you, when I was younger, I could spell like a champion. Dog, no problem. D-O-G, dog. Cat, no problem. C-A-T, cat. Just easy. I was the best. And then they got harder. Like it was like words like rhyme, which is got a Y in there, and an H, I believe. It's like, wait, hold on. Who did this? Or colonel? You know, like a you know, if you're in the military, he's a colonel. That's not how you can't sound it out on that one. That's not going to work. That's just going to make you fail. Don't sound out colonel, people. If you're in a spelling bee and you don't know how to spell colonel, do not sound it out. That will ultimately fail you. I mean, just try to. Colonel. C-E wrong. C-I wrong. C-O? Go on. Like, what? Who decided to spell that word? And I know, like, a lot of language and linguistics and vocabulary and, just words in general are, like, especially in the English language, are all rooted off of, like, other alphabets and other languages, like Latin and Greek and, I don't know if Egyptian is, but I know those two are the big main ones, and, like, we kind of, like, made words from those words and killed off those languages because I guess that they were too hard back in the day. I mean, I don't understand, like, if they're so old and, everybody can speak them, like, what was in their minds of the people who'd created English and, like, Spanish and, like, German and all that to say, you know what, I'm done with Latin. I'm done with Greek. We ain't speaking that no more. We're going to speak English, Spanish, Italian, German, French. We're just going to piggyback off of Latin and all these other languages that are so ancient that I'm pretty sure, like, Latin is considered a dead language, and the Greek now is way different than the Greek was back then, like in, like, the Roman time, not Roman, but the days of Athens and Sparta, 300 and all that. I'm pretty sure it's different. I can't be fully, I don't know that for truth, but I'm pretty sure that they can't be the exact same. They just can't. But yeah, if you're gonna be in a spelling bee or professionalize spelling or do something where you got to spell a lot, my tip is never to sound it out. Because when you get to most words that are proper for your brain capacity, sounding them out sometimes just doesn't work. Don't sound out physics. Physics. F, wrong. Like, no. You can't do it. It's just like there's just some words where somebody who was so full of themselves had to root it in another language to make it have more meaning and have more, I guess, a better origin story. If you really think about it, like, there's no way, somebody was like, hey, we need a word for this branch of science. Well, we have a word that was Greek. It was like philosioko or whatever. And let's just call that physics, because it's physical science. Physics, philosophical, the root language or whatever. It's not disrespect to the ancient Greeks or the Latins. It's just like, I'm trying to get into the mindset of that person. What went into their thinking, their process, and to think of how to make a new word. But, yeah. Some crazy stuff happened this week. I mean, if you are one Kylie Jenner and one Travis Scott, who I found out his name is actually Jax or Jacques. Had no idea, but that's his name. I thought it was always Travis Scott. I guess not. But they're changing the name of their baby, which, to be honest, I have no interest in Kylie Jenner or Travis Scott in any way, shape, or form. I'm pretty sure that they're very talented people in whatever the hell that they do. I know one is a rapper who makes music, is in a little bit of a bad light still from something that might have happened, that did happen months ago. That is tragic. But that's all I really know about him. That's all I really know. Kylie Jenner is I believe a model. I'm not really sure though, but sounds like she's got some power. Her mother is Kris Jenner, who is on the show that's not about her. It's about the Kardashians and not her, but she still seems to piggyback off of that, as does Kendall and Kylie. Both of them, both not Kardashians, by the way. And, just riding that fame train, riding the wave and getting famous off of, I don't know, eating salad. And going on vacation on some kind of island. I think I've seen like the Kardashians show like a grand total of like maybe like 20 minutes in my entire existence, and like that's all it really seems like they're doing. Either talking about a vacation, eating a salad, or in the, recently, I mean, it's not been documented, but I can only assume that, Kanye West is going to be like a major part in that new show that's coming out on Hulu, which I know about because I surf the web, and that could be interesting. I mean, like, I think we all just have to kind of at this point just kind of settle and accept that Kanye is probably doing this just for the show. Now, that's not to say that what he's doing is not good. It just seems very mean and douchebaggy and like totally like unacceptable. And like, I don't know if it's real or fake. The thing with Pete Davidson, like, why do I even talk about this? Well, because so many people online talk about it. And I thought I would get an opinion in on it. And like, I just feel like it's all for the show. It's got to be. I mean, I know people that have watched that show, that were obsessed about it, that kind of fell off at the end. And knowing the characters, knowing the mom, the sisters, and all that, the power levels between the people, all the relationships that they had, the children that were bred into that family. So sorry for those kids who have to deal with that now. I mean, I'm pretty sure like the oldest one is Northwest. I don't know how old she is, but she can't be like that young. She's probably like aware now that my mom and my dad are arguing and it's on TV, I would assume. But I could be wrong. It could be they probably have no idea what's happening. I mean, yeah, I could be wrong. But anyways, back to the main story. Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott are no longer calling their son Wolf. Like the wild beast of the mountain ranges, and in normally like in areas like in Colorado, Montana, Canada, Alaska. The godfather of the dog, the wolf. Oh, that wolf. WOLF. That's what they were going to name their son. And, I got to say, it's not the weirdest name that they've come up with, that they've either thought had some kind of meaning, or just like, what can we name our kid that's so not normal that will get the most attention as possible? Like, she has a daughter named Stormy, which, honestly has grown on me. Like, I remember hearing it, like, why would anybody name their kid Stormy? But, I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, it's just Storm with an E at the end of it, or an I or a Y. Fuck you, language. But it's like it's fine. She's a little girl. It's like it's kind of cute. It makes sense. I mean, it's like it would be like Stacy, KC, Stormy. Like it can rhyme with things. It's kind of nice. I've never seen her, but like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she fits the bill of a Stormy. I don't know how old she is, but I'm pretty sure like if you saw her, like you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a Stormy. Like you can like label, that you can tell like that guy is a Kyle, that guy is a Steven, that guy is an Alex, that guy's a Richard, or that lady's a Casey, that chick is a Maria, that woman is a Gretchen, she's a Stormy. Like she probably fits the bill. As naturally as I think most parents nail it pretty well. They see their kid come out and they give it a name like, oh yeah, that's you. You fit. I was always Alexander from beginning to end. I was just I was thought of that before when I came out. They're like, yeah, that's him. That's his name. My brother was initially going to be named something else, not what he was named. Then he came out, they're like, oh, we got to pivot. This is not going to work out. So I understand it. I completely get it. It's part of life. Imagine, like, you being named something else. Imagine you being named Wolf. Or something, something else. Like, what if you were named, like, what if you were named Nike? Like, your family loved Nike shoes and Nike apparel so much they named you Nike. That could be a thing. What if they're so into Amazon, they named you Bezos? We loved Amazon so much, it's been with us through thick and thin. When it's rainy, we get our packages. When it's a thunderstorm, when it's an earthquake, when it's a hurricane, a tornado, we get our packages. All thanks to Jeff Bezos. So you're named Bezos because you got us through thick and thin. Who's to say, like, there's other people that name them, babies or kids from, like, media, like entertainment. Like, somebody named their kid back in the day, when the Star Wars prequels were super popular, they named their kid Anakin. I mean, I would hate that, but he probably loves it. His family probably loves it. I think somebody was recently named, like, Kylo because of Kylo Ren from Star Wars. Like, I would hate that personally. Personally, I would hate that. But maybe Kylo loves it. Maybe he's a Kylo. Maybe he's an Anakin. I don't know. I haven't seen the wolf or the ex-wolf, so I don't know. I mean, now that when I first heard it, I was like, this is kind of ridiculous. Like, why can't they just name their kid Scott or Richard or Michael or Bill or Will or something? Maybe you take a page after Kim and you name it New Orleans or Detroit. She named one of her kids Chicago. Or what if you named it him, like Hymn, instead of Psalm, like what Kim did? It's just like, or I don't know, something more creative. Why don't you just, like, I think that if Kanye and Kim had another kid, do you think that Kanye would be like, I'm going to name him Jesus because I'm God and he's my son? Like, I mean, I'm surprised that's never happened. That hasn't happened yet. And I know, like, their whole relationship kind of evolved into, like, I'm Jesus, or, I'm like some, like, I don't think he actually believes that he's actually, like, a god. But that whole, like, mentality, that shtick, or even his bit, has been living strong that he is a higher being than you or I. So, like, maybe he does pull the unthinkable and name his son Jesus or name his son Christ. It's just Chris, but with a T. I mean, if you spell Christopher, there's a T after the S. So technically, you can kind of get away with it and call him Christ. Everybody whose name is Chris, you can technically call them Christ or Christ or Chris. I mean, like, it's a possibility. It's Christmas, ChristChristmas, has Christ in it. Christopher has Christ too. But if I had a kid, which I don't even know if I do want one, maybe when I get older, I don't know, I would name him something so basic that he would probably dislike it. Like, Dad, why did you name me John? Mr. and Mrs. Smith named their kid Flannel or something stupid, or they named him Hat. I don't know. It could be who knows? But it's like, does any kid fit like the name Hat or Soda? Like, what if you named a kid Soda or Juice? I don't know. Like, what characteristics give him a Juice or a Soda name? Those who don't know, that's Seinfeld. But I don't know. Names are complicated. But names, you can have a name, you can have a fully, like, developed name with a backstory and all that, and something that's cool. And then later in life, you can be like, you know what, go by my middle name, which is, like, Gary, or Will, or Dan, or Tom. Like something that's, like, not even your first name. No, I go by my middle name, which is not like my first name. It's actually cooler. You could have done that. People do that all the time. People go by also initials like JJ or DJ or CJ or AJ, stuff like that. And, they just kind of, like, move on, I guess. The name's a name, though. It shouldn't be, like, overthought. But I think, like, when, Saint and Northwest is it's, I know what you're doing. I understood it back then. I still don't really like it. I don't even know if your kid's gonna like it when she grows up either. So it's like, who knows? Chicago. It's like, what? What are we talking about? But yeah, good for you. You didn't see any wolf characteristics in your son. All right. Look, I can probably agree with you on that. I don't think you would have either. Like, oh shit, he didn't come out with claws or sharp teeth or, fur. Shit. I have to rename him. What are you thinking? I don't know. I thought really he would have been like a wolf. And that's why we picked wolf, right, Trav? It's like, shit, well, I don't know what happened. I guess something fucked up and now he's just a baby, not even a wolf. I don't know. I'm gonna bet, like, they name him something like, I don't know. They're gonna name him like a maybe like aluminum or potassium, or they'll name him something like an object, like a material, like a boot, shoe. I don't know. Does Stormy go by Stormy Scott? Was Wolf gonna be Wolf Scott or Wolf Jenner? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not sure. Why don't they name it like Kyle? Because Kyle is like the male version of Kylie. I mean, that's kind of what, like, Will and Jada did with their kids. They named their son Jaden. Their mom's name is Jada. They named their daughter Willow. Their dad's name is Will. I mean, it only makes sense. But Kyle comes with a little bit of a reputation. Be a little bit of a knucklehead. I knew a couple Kyles back in the day. They fit the bill. They are actually what they are. It's insane. And, like, you never would have thought it, but they all kind of, become Kyle. Even though they are named Kyle, they become Kyle. It's really hard to wrap your mind around, but it's true. It's something that you can prove scientifically, and any way you can. The scientific method is fully on full effect in that name, in Kyle. It's quite spectacular, actually. But and then there's Chad, which I don't quite get. I mean, I guess it's like a cool guy or like an alpha dude. I've been called that a couple times. I don't understand why. I've never been a Chad in my entire life. I don't think I have really Chad vibes in my entire existence. But I've been called that a couple times. I'm like, wait, I don't think that. You don't know me, first of all, like, enough to declare me as a Chad. I feel like I would know myself enough to say, like, oh, I'm not a Chad. I'm definitely not a Chad. But you're like, no, you're a Chad. Or you're a Kyle. Or you're a Karen. That's another bad one, too. You can never name your daughter Karen again. I mean, Jesus Christ. After 2020, 2021, nuh-uh. unless you want to go against the grain, unless you want to be named Karen and totally not be a Karen. But at the end of the day, these names and all this labeling is kind of in a way like I'm a Cancer, or I'm a Leo, or I'm a Capricorn, or stuff like that. It's just labeling. Like, people hate when, like, they're labeled boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, we're not that yet. You know, stuff like that. Or some people want to be called spouse. Others want to be called partner. Like, you know, friend, boyfriend, girlfriend. It's like, it's kind of like that. But it's not weird. That's what we do. We don't call a sock a shoe. I don't call a cheeseburger a sandwich. That's a cheeseburger. I don't call a hot dog a sandwich. That's a hot dog. You know? So, Kylie and Travis, if you're listening to the world's most famous and well-renowned podcast out there, I think you should go with Kyle. Give him an opportunity to not be a Kyle. And if he is a Kyle, let him be a Kyle and let him be free, and let him know, make sure you let Kyle know that even in this sick world of labels and all that and assumptions, that he has his own choice to make his own destiny, to either be a Kyle or to not be a Kyle. And anybody named Chad who is called a Chad because their name is just simply Chad, you have the power to change that. You could not be a Chad. Or you can just be yourself. The main point of all this is, I think parents know what they name their kids. They know what they are. They can see them. I mean, the mother's going to know that the mother had them in their stomach for 10 months. So, she's going to know. She's going to know how you are. And give you the perfect name. That mother-kid connection is the miracle of humanity right there. Without women, none of us would be here. And this is just a last-ditch hurrah to really nail home. Well, I mean, we have another week left, but, Women's Month is almost up. Time flies when you're having fun. And, gotta appreciate them as all we can. Give a woman a hug that allows it. Don't just walk up to any woman and say, hey, happy Women's Month, let me give you a hug. No. Make sure you have consent before you give them a hug. And thank them. I also have consent when you do this as well. Thank them for being a woman. And without them, we wouldn't be here. I mean, could you imagine if we had no women? How would kids be born? Men couldn't do it. Men can't handle that kind of pain. I stub my toe and I'm like, I'm out for the week. I'm done. I'm dead. Not dead, but I'm definitely sidelined. The most pain I've ever been in was when I got a tooth drilled into because I had a cavity, and the medicine wasn't taking full effect, and I felt it, and I was like, oh God, I can feel it, and it was hitting my nerve in my jaw, and I was like, oh fuck, this hurts. It's not fun. Definitely not fun. I've also gotten a dead leg or a punched hard in the arm. That hurts as well. I tap out at the sign of pain. I'm like, get me out of here. I don't want to feel this. I am in the 21st century. I should not have to feel pain anymore. We no longer have to wage war. Well, we no longer have to have, we don't have to have actual physical contact to settle problems. I feel like we should be beyond that. The fact that we aren't yet is astounding. Frankly, it's holding our progression as a society, as a humanity, and if we ever want to meet aliens, we have to figure that out because it's not doing us any good. Moving on, though. I want to talk a little bit about sports, what's been happening in the sports world. March Madness is underway. That's been pretty killer. Pretty good games. Not like buzzer-beating games, but actually really, really good games. A couple of teams I think that are, pulling themselves away from the pack after we're down to the last. We are now in the Sweet 16 after the first weekend of March Madness, and it's been awesome. It's been great. I've been watching a lot of college basketball. Obviously, this is going to be the first day of the second weekend that's happening right now, and right now, schools that are pulling themselves ahead out of the pack to me are Gonzaga for sure, because I think that their game against Memphis, while not against the greatest opposition, not against the best talent-wise team, and Memphis fans can chirp at me all they want. I don't know any of you, but you probably know me from my podcast, so I appreciate the listen. Just not like the biggest opposition, I would say, but they've been pulling through. They've been gutting out some wins, and Gonzaga stands out. Duke stands out. North Carolina, UCLA stick out. Purdue sticks out. Arizona is always good. Villanova and Michigan all stick out. Kansas and Miami both stand out to me as well. I mean, like, there's a lot of good teams that we all didn't really anticipate or think that would actually be in the Sweet 16, that are actually in the Sweet 16, that are making it actually a pretty good tournament. The biggest upset I think that is to this day from this tournament is got to be Kentucky losing to St. Peter's. I mean, and St. Peter's has got to be like the shining star, the Cinderella that everybody's like rooting for, because they are the 15th seed and they just beat a 2 seed in Kentucky. I mean, I talk about like absolute disrespect to Kentucky, and that program actually in shambles because of how they just absolutely beat Kentucky. I mean, not even expected to beat Kentucky, but beating Kentucky. But a couple of hiccups, I think, with UCLA, and a couple sneak buys by who just had like a really sneak by. I feel like Arkansas, I think, had like a not the very most convincing game against New Mexico State. Definitely should have beaten them by a lot more than 5 points. But it's survive and advance, and I've been looking at this and thinking about the tournament this entire weekend and since it started. I think I'm ready to boil it down to what it really is all about. It's not about talent, I think. Sure, it's there. It's definitely there. It's definitely a big contribution to your team and your success. But I really do think that it's also really, really, really big about the coaching, because you could have a very untalented team and a very, just in the talent pool, just nowhere near like a Duke or a North Carolina or a Gonzaga, like a St. Peter's. But if you have great, great, great coaching and great confidence that your coach can give you, that team can do whatever the hell that they want, because they have their coach back in them. They have their coach's ideas, their coach's philosophy, and their backs against the wall, all that combining to make like a good team and a team that can make a run in the tournament. Like that's really what it comes down to. You can be like Kentucky. You can be so talented. Like, people got them in the Final Four. People had them winning it all, and they got bounced in the second round to St. Peter's. Like, it really does shock me, and it really does put into perspective of how, you can have a really talented team, but if your coach is not going to manage it that well or coach it that well, then you don't really have the highest, you can't really reach the highest summit. It's just not going to happen. So the fact that they were able to beat Kentucky, beat Murray State, and then moving on to face who were they facing? They're facing some big team I'm actually shocked about. St. Peter's will be facing against Purdue, who's also very good. Very, very good. They have it in them. They have it in them to be an absolute train wreck to Purdue. They do. They really, really do, because of their mentality and their coach and everything. I mean, it's just like it's what you love about the tournament, and also some really controversial, I guess you could say, seeding or teams that can actually turn it on in the tournament, like UCLA didn't have their best season. Michigan obviously didn't either, but they've been doing some damage in the tournament. They've been playing people. Michigan just beat highly, highly ranked Tennessee to get to the Sweet 16, which not a lot of people thought about. And, they're rolling on all cylinders. They have Juwan Howard, who's also another fantastic coach, Juwan Howard. He's been managing that team so well and making sure that they are confident, motivated, and just a well-coached team. He's a great coach. He's probably like the top coach in all of college basketball to play for. I mean, like, talk about likability, just his philosophy, the way he coaches his players. I mean, he just seems like he's so fun to be a part of and be on that team that, like, why would you not want to play for that guy, Obviously, you got the blue bloods like North Carolina still there, UCLA, Gonzaga. And Gonzaga, let me tell you this. Gonzaga against Memphis, while that was closer than it needed to be, that game, the way that they played, was superb college basketball. Like, that's as close as we're ever going to get to an NBA game in this tournament, probably for the rest of the tournament. Like, that game was so good. Drew Timme, and just like the shots that he made were like, wow, this guy is so good. Is he going to go to the NBA? I'm not sure. He doesn't seem like he would want to go to the NBA. Like, to me, he doesn't seem like an NBA player. He seems like a guy who's just going to run out this college thing, hopefully get a national championship and win it all, and have just a good time playing college basketball at Gonzaga. That's just the vibe I get from this guy. I could be completely off, totally wrong, but that's just what I see. But yeah, it's been a good tournament lately. I'm looking forward to all the games. It's coming down to the wire quickly. I believe it ends I believe the tournament ends April 2nd. So yeah, it came and it's already almost done. Moving on to little baseball. The Dodgers signed Freddie Freeman. This is absolutely good news for me. Great news. I love this news. Why? Because I was looking at Freddie Freeman's contract. I was looking at Freddie Freeman's options. He did not want to go to the Yankees, which is a blessing. And he's from California, Southern California. And I was just thinking, like, you know what? We did the exact same thing when we bought Mookie Betts. We couldn't beat them, so let's just buy them. And you know what? Some people will be like, "That's a sellout move. That's sore loser baseball. No one likes it." Well, tough shit. If your team is not going to do it, then my team will. It's that simple. Look, people can bitch and moan about what we've been doing for the past 10 years, but the fact of the matter is those people are just losers. They hate seeing success that isn't on their team. They wish us to just stop. They want us to just roll over and not even try, or just to, just disappear. That isn't going to happen. That's just totally not going to happen. Why would anybody want to do that? We have people that are in this organization that want to win more than one World Series. Like, and if you want to keep doing that, got to be able to play ball. You got to be able to get players. You got to be able to, sign who you want to sign and get rid of who you want to get rid of. You got to be able to move on too. Look, as much as I would have loved Corey Seager to stay, as soon as we signed Trey Turner, I knew he was gone. I just knew it. He was having a good year. He had a good World Series run for us. I appreciate that. I will love him forever for that. But you don't sign Trey Turner and have Corey Seager still on the roster, and you want to progress with Trey Turner and make him the starting shortstop, which is his natural position. You're not going to keep Seager. I'm just sorry. You got to be able to adapt. You have to adapt, and the Dodgers have been adapting. They just got rid of Kenley Jansen, which I never thought that they would, to Atlanta because of Freddie Freeman and all that. Look, you got to make adjustments. And we are making moves and adjustments and signing new players, and we got a stacked lineup. A stacked lineup. Look, I'm sorry, like, that we're making moves and we're trying to win games. If that pisses you off, you just probably have loser mentality. Just loser mentality. And you just want us to roll over, but we're not going to do it. Now, if we do all this and win like maybe one more championship, and that's it, I'll be mad. I'll be like, we should have won more. We should have won more. But at least we're making the effort and trying to do it. Because, listen, as much as we love, as baseball is known for homegrown players and farm system players and all that, that doesn't always get you the rings. With all the stars that we have in baseball, like Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper, Fernando Tatis Jr., Ronald Acuna, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Like, there's so many superstars out there that it's like, I mean, like there are so many good players already out there that, and with baseball not having a salary cap, it's possible for you to achieve them, to get them. So it's like, we're playing fair, we're playing by the rules, and we're just making moves, and you're just tired of it, which is okay. You're okay to do that, but if you're okay to do that, then I'm definitely okay with calling you out on it, and I'm going to when I see it. It's like, just chill out. Maybe have your team, maybe encourage your team to make moves, to be competitive, to win and contend for World Series. Don't just win one and then fall off like some teams do. Like that, when you do that, it just shows that you aren't able to adapt, and you want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Look, I thought that we were going to be done after we got rid of Matt Kemp. Done after we got rid of Matt Kemp. Adrian Gonzalez, Hanley Ramirez. Once all those guys left, I'm like, are we done? But no, we rekindled, we retooled. We brought up Seager, brought up Bellinger, brought up Lux, Smith, Barnes, Bueller. We also have homegrown talent as well. So it's like, it's a combination of the two. So it's like, can't just be angry at us and not and call us out and not expect a reaction. It's just not going to happen. You can call us out all you want. You can say what we do is you don't like. I'm sorry. That's part of the game. That's part of the leverage. That's part of us having an edge. And if you don't like it, we can either quit or we can do the same thing. Try to build a team that can win a World Series, which we've been doing for the past, 8-9 years, maybe 10. So it's like, just, I guess, try harder. I'm sorry. Should I feel sorry for you? I'm not. You just, I guess just do better. But not too much better, because I want to keep winning. Moving on. Devante Adams will rejoin Derek Carr in the Raiders in Vegas for a 6-year, $162 million. No, sorry. For a 5-year, $140 million contract to sign with the Raiders. Now, my father was absolutely happy about this, and I have to look at that Raiders squad. They just got Devante Adams, Chandler Jones. I mean, those are some big moves lately. Like, almost like a let's win now mentality, or let's be contenders right now. I'm not sure if their quarterback is capable of that, but, the other players definitely are. Definitely capable. He just signed his deal a couple days ago. He's now a Raider, no longer on the Packers. You just got to think that Aaron Rodgers is like, well, who do I have to throw now? Not we. The Raiders just gave them a first-round pick for Adams, so, you can expect that they would, I think, pick up a number one receiver to compensate for that, because that was a big, big loss. Because I've been saying this forever. Devante Adams is the best receiver in the NFL. The best. I mean, for the past maybe 4 years. Consistency, route running, catches, touchdowns, no drops. Now, granted, he had Aaron Rodgers, but you can't have one without the other. It's a team sport. That's just the way it looks. That's just the way it is. People say, yeah, well, he had Aaron Rodgers, or yeah, well, he had Devante Adams, or he had Tom Brady, or he had, Mike Evans. It's a team sport. That's what's going to happen. That's how it always been. People make others great. People make people great. And for you to knock that and to say that, well, you just don't really watch sports then. You probably don't even watch it all that much, because that's just how sports are, especially team sports. Without this person, you don't get this person. That's just the way it is. If you want to call that out, just be prepared. It's going to, team sport, bro. Team sport. People are like, well, Kobe needed Gasol and he needed Shaq. Team sport. Team sport. Lakers. LeBron needed Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Team sport. Team sport. It's like, come on. What are we doing here? This isn't about individuals. It's about a team, right? I mean, again, and I see all these arguments all the time, even in like actual, big time sports media like ESPN. It's like, why? Like, we're not trying to chase and report on individual accolades. This is a team sport. Why are we doing this? Makes no sense whatsoever. And he wasn't the only one. Tyreek Hill just got $120 million on a 4-year extension with $72.2 million guaranteed in signing with the Dolphins. I mean, I'm just thinking about this, and I'm thinking about how much money he's going to have. And now he's going to Miami. He's going to have so much fun there. And people have been saying, like, is he going to decline now because he got paid? He's going to be living a luxurious life in Miami, and he's not really going to it. I wouldn't say that the Dolphins are like a huge contender. They could be dangerous because they have Jalen Waddle and now Tyreek Hill. Tua was okay last year, but now he's got literally like no excuses to not be good. And so, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be. I've always seen him, as in Kansas City Red, on the Chiefs and catching passes from Patrick Mahomes, and now he's going to be in Miami. It's like, is he still a number one receiver? Can Tua elevate his game enough to be, good enough to make Tyreek good? Like, in Miami, I just don't know. People have been saying like, well, he's not going to have Patrick Mahomes to throw him touchdowns anymore. It's like, you got a point there. You have a point. Is he going to decline? Based off of that, that's a possibility. But I think that Tua, in this past season, has been playing good enough to be considered like a top 16 quarterback. I think so. I mean, he's like in the middle of the pack. He's not great. He's not elite. He's not great, but he's like on the cusp of being like good. He's on the cusp of like being like a solid, good quarterback. He's got moments. He had that I believe it was an 8-game winning streak last season. That was incredible. And even though he didn't play all of those games because he was also injured, or every snap, I guess he was still very good. He's very promising. I believe that's also probably a reason why Tyreek decided to go. Like, hey, I see something in Tua, or I see something with me and Jalen Waddle. This could be awesome, and that's probably why they decided to, do it. Okay, now we're jumping into the my thoughts. Not a review. I wouldn't say that this is a review, but this is definitely my thoughts on the first episode of the Halo TV series. Looking back and hearing about this being rumored as a movie, being rumored to have people attached, like back in the day with Peter Jackson and Neil Blomkamp, and then it being a movie back then, and now obviously it being a show, I think it's safe to say, having seen only one episode, the first one, that I am so happy that Halo is being made as a series and not a movie. Because I think that with this first episode, and it's not like a Disney Plus episode where it's like a 30-minute, 40-minute type of episode, like how you would get in like a Disney Plus show, like the Marvel shows or the Star Wars shows. Like, no, this is like very, very close to an hour. It's like maybe about 58 minutes of show. And I thought it was incredibly solid. Now, let me get to what I think that means overall. If you've played Halo, you know what Halo is, right? Master Chief, fighting Covenant, being a badass, being a Spartan, and all that you know and you love about that, and about his, his demeanor, his personality, his way of dealing with problems in both the video games and I think in the show is very well depicted. And this, I've heard like many other mediums, like books and comics and even like short animated series, depict what a Spartan can do more and even better than the games have, and that's just what I've been hearing. And you can tell that in this show, they wanted to show you that in live action as best as they could. And I think that they do that very, very well for the most part. I think the episode is actually very well-rounded, very good paced, I think. You get a lot of backstory. This episode gives you a lot of backstory. And by the way, this is going to be non-spoiler, so don't worry about it. I think that this episode gives you a ton of information. Whereas if you're me, who's played the games, that's played every game multiple times, not haven't read any of the books, but played the game many times, which I think you can safely say is the most popular medium to consume Halo, is through their video games. Those have always been like the main, stories that, they want to tell, and, to get most people to invest their time into and to really see. I think that it does a very good job, honestly, with developing characters, whether you notice them from other, medium, or whether you don't. I think that it does a very good job at explaining the new, or the known and the unknown. And for me, having known a lot of things about Halo and knowing a lot of things about that universe, seeing that all explored and another side of it that I've never seen in any game. It's hinted in a couple games, but it's never really put into fruition or put it in the forefront, was so interesting. And so, like, we're peeling back layers of things that I've always kind of wondered about the Halo universe. Always kind of wondered about the people who and the hierarchies of that universe. Now that we get to see that and it actually being fully fledged is so exciting to me. And I thought that was some of the better parts of the show. Knowing about these other characters like Dr. Halsey or Captain Keyes, Miranda Keyes, other characters that you don't even really know from much of the games in my experience. And I think that it actually introduces them in a way through what's happening in the show that they kind of have to be there. And it feels organic. It feels natural. It feels like, yeah, if something like this were to happen, you could definitely see like these people get involved. And, you never really see that in the games that ever happen. It's much more made. You can tell that this is made as a TV show, not like, well, we got to make it like as close to the games as possible. It's like, that just can't really be done with Halo. If you play the games, the most of the Master Chief games, Reach and ODST are a little bit different, but like the Master Chief games, you play them, they make amazing games. But I don't think that those games could be adapted to a screenplay for a movie or a TV show. Maybe if you combine them, maybe if you take certain aspects of them, keep those, maybe change a few things, maybe cut some things out, possibly, yeah. But I think in this case, it being more driven by characters, not just Master Chief, but like the other Spartans, the other players around him, like I said earlier, that you don't really get a whole lot of in the games, or in the other, at least the games. I don't know about other mediums. I'm not sure. I'm sure you do. But I just feel like it worked so well in this show. Like, I was legitimately interested in how they would handle this situation, with the Covenant and with Master Chief and with the things that happen in this episode, which, again, I won't spoil, but I think it was done pretty well, honestly. Like, there's a lot of times in a lot of shows that I feel like, when it comes to plot points and plot things that happen, you can kind of feel yourself kind of laugh at what's happening because it legitimately, like, makes no sense, or it makes no sense of why they did certain things. I feel like in this show, I mean, at least in my case, I felt none of that. I felt like everything in this show and everything that I've seen so far is actually, I mean, pretty well done. It's very interesting. It's got great action. It's got great moments too, like the character interactions in this, and knowing like the stakes of it, and just knowing that this has to happen, and the whole mystery of certain things that's only going to be unveiled in the next remaining 8 episodes. I'm legitimately excited about this show. Like, I'm excited now. That just might be because I'm a super Halo fan, at least the Halo games, and I know some of the lore that I can kind of keep up with, and new things are like, oh, that's new, but I might have heard that somewhere in a game or something like that. It sounds familiar, but it was good. I liked it quite a bit. I got to be honest with you. Now, I can't say that will be the same for somebody who's really into Halo, or that isn't really into Halo or really knows Halo. It might be a little bit different for you because knowing the backstory of certain characters, knowing where they've come from because of games and all that, and with the showrunners kind of plucking things out and making it their own thing, right? This is a new timeline. This isn't canon to any game. This is his own thing. And I gotta say, knowing that in the back of my head, knowing that was their thing from like the beginning, or maybe relatively, during the pre-production, at least the writing part, that makes me at such ease, because I am able to separate video game Master Chief and video game Halo to TV show Master Chief and TV show Halo. Like, it to me, it was an absolutely, like, it wasn't a burden at all. I truly felt that. And I wasn't expecting that. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think that it would, because there's so many properties out there where, whether it's a video game or a book, where people who have been invested so many times in so much of that material, whether it be Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, or even Halo, that they have a pretty difficult time of watching something that isn't completely what they fell in love with reading the book or playing the game. And I think that the fact that they announced that it wasn't going to be canon, it was going to be not a direct adaptation, it's its own thing, essentially, its own timeline, put me at ease. Now, I'm not saying that if it was different from the game, I would be, with a pitchfork and, with a mob and saying, like, burn down Paramount Plus. No, I'm not saying that at all. I feel like, actually, because I feel like I'm just able to do that, and some people aren't, I'm able to see both versions of Halo for what they are. I mean, even multiple versions of Halo for what they are, and like and dislike what they do and what they don't do. Like and dislike what they do, and maybe dislike what they don't do that's, not as strong as the game or whatever. I just feel like with this show, honestly, none of that even came into my mind. I was just so into seeing what it was about and what that world is of Halo. We all kind of get glimpses when we play the games of what that universe and the politics are, In this, you really get a deep dive into what it is really all about, with the different planets, the colonies, the military and all that, their involvement. You really get a sense of like, oh, this is just bigger than the green guy, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but I've always had that itch of like, what's there's got to be more to this. Like, they feed you pretty well in the game, but I've always come out of the games of wanting to know more about the Halo universe, the Halo world. And I think in this show, thank God it is a show, because I mean, just from that first episode, I'm like, oh, I need more. Like, I wanted to watch the second episode as soon as it finished. I was like, give me more. And I'm totally in on it. And I know I went from just when I first started talking about it to solid to really good. I mean, I'm like running through things that I've seen in the show and plucking out like, oh, you know what? It all kind of worked for me. Like, it's crazy. Again, that might just be my bias. That might be my, just love for Halo in that universe, that I know the things, and maybe because I'm seeing them explore the things that I've never really gotten to fully seen in the video game. That could be it. But I really enjoyed it. I went from it was a solid one to I really, really enjoyed it. I'm not going to give it a rating yet because I don't rate just episodes. I'll rate the series when it's over. But that's just to give you my thoughts, my first impressions, my thoughts, how I was feeling, how I went into it. Truly, I mean, like, I was excited, but I really didn't have any expectation because it was going to be completely different. And I'm not saying that you should have low expectations, but just think of it really as an introduction into the Halo world. It's going to be a lot. It's a lot of things. If you're not aware of Halo, it might be a little bit of a shock to you, but I think that the performances and the characters and then the acting, I mean, certainly with a lot of the acting in this show was, to me, surprisingly pretty solid. I mean, Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief is, for me, good. I mean, I was always able to, think that he could pull it off, and I think that he did. He did it in his own way, and I was like, you know what? I enjoyed it. Like, and I know people are going to have a hard time being like, well, Steve Downes is Master Chief, and he should never take off his helmet and stuff like that. And this isn't a spoiler because it's been reported on and announced. He does take off his helmet. He does take it off. And I had no problem with it. I could see people having a problem with it. But I think up to that point, and when he does it, when it happens, I think it's fully justified. I truly do. I think that it's fully justified, and it was actually a really good moment. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was a really, really good moment when he took off the helmet. I mean, you can hate it all you want. You can think that what I'm saying is BS, but I thought it was pretty good. Truly did. A couple other things that stood out. Dr. Halsey's actress, her name is Natasha. I can't pronounce her last name worth a damn, but she's incredible. I thought that Pablo was great as Master Chief. I thought the actress who played Quan-Ah, I'll be honest with you, she was great in this episode. She was great. I truly thought that she was awesome. Her name is Yurin Ha. I mean, I bought her. I truly did. Like, I bought like her motivation, her backstory, her character, how she feels about certain things. Like, I totally get it. Totally get it. And it definitely feels like this is a show that's both targeted at the fans, because there's a lot of fan service, which I thought that it was subtle. Most of it was pretty good. And, it's also targeted for the mainstream audience. I mean, that's kind of like what every show is kind of has to do now to survive. Because as much as, a lot of people love Halo, there's a lot of people that don't even know Halo, that are going to be introduced to Halo from maybe their brother or their nephew or cousin or daughter or son, sister who knows, that's gonna, you know, introduce them to a medium that they would like to consume Halo in a TV show. So those are my thoughts on Halo the series. You guys should check it out. I hope you do. And also, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You can find this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Drops every Thursday, you know, and I will. I appreciate all the listening. I appreciate the ratings, reviews, likes, and subscribes. Remember to keep doing that. That helps a lot. And continue to do that. Continue to support. And again, yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys back next week.